The best little town around. That's how the people of Circleville, Ohio describe their safe and beautiful home. But in the late 70s, something turned their little town into their own living hell. It all started on March 2nd, 1977, when Gordon Massey, the superintendent of West Falls High School, found a letter in his mailbox from an anonymous person claiming to know his dirty secret. That would be the first of thousands of letters in Circleville. No one was safe. Residents, news reporters, and even sheriffs received the blackmail letters, and they were all anonymous and written in block capital letters. But one family in particular seemed to be the main target, the Gillespies. A couple of weeks after Gordon got the first letter, Mary Gillespie, a school bus driver, received one of her own. Apparently, the writer of those letters believed Gordon and Mary were having an affair and was adamant about exposing them. Yet both strongly denied the accusations that anything was going on between them and tried to move on with their lives until Mary got the second letter, then the third, and each one was getting more personal and more sinister. The letters included details only someone who followed Mary closely could know, like her bus number and daily routine. But unlike the rest of the letters, the third one had a return address. It was Gordon Massey's home. Was it a mistake or was it intentional? Despite her fear, Mary continued to ignore the writer's demands to report Gordon to the school board, hoping that all of this would eventually fizzle out. But quite the opposite happened, and her husband Ron became the next target. Ron received letter after letter urging him to put an end to the affair by killing both Mary and Gordon, or his own life would be on the line. He was forced to take the writer's threats seriously when they started targeting his and Mary's children, threatening to harm them and putting up obscene signs about them all over town. So he went to the Pickaway County Sheriff, but they were unable to help him. This continued for several months, and Ron and Mary began to suspect who might be behind this nightmare. And a phone call answered by Ron on August 19, 1977 seemed to confirm these suspicions. That's when everything took a turn for the worse. After the call, Ron rushed out of the house with a gun to allegedly confront the letter writer. But nobody knows if he actually did so, because about 30 minutes after he left, his truck was found crashed into a tree only 10 miles away from his house. Upon arrival at the hospital, Ron was pronounced dead. There were doubts of foul play, but in the end, the death was ruled as a tragic accident. One person, however, was convinced that Ron's death was a murder: Paul Freshour, his brother-in-law. Years went by and the letters continued, this time insinuating that Mary and Gordon were behind Ron's accident and the police were covering it up. 6 years after the accident, Mary was driving the bus to the school when she noticed another inappropriate sign about her daughter. As usual, she went to take it down, but saw a box attached to it, a box that turned out to be a booby trap, which she narrowly avoided and removed the box instead of the sign. The Bureau of Criminal Investigations in Ohio then traced the gun back to Paul Freshour, news that shocked everyone except for his ex-wife, Ron's sister, Karen Sue. Karen told the detectives that she knew Paul was behind the Circleville letters when she found a few ones around the house. However, she couldn't provide any proof. Paul denied all the accusations against him and even offered to take a polygraph test to prove his innocence, which he failed. Despite the lack of physical evidence, Paul was convicted of attempted murder and was sentenced to 7 to 25 years in jail. Because of this, most people believed he was the anonymous letter writer, so they were in for a surprise when the letters didn't stop after he went to jail. Even Paul himself received one. 10 years later, Paul was released, and the letters finally stopped coming in. Till the day he died in 2012, he maintained his innocence, and no one could surely tell if he was behind the letters or not. And to this day, the mystery of the Circleville Letters writer remains unresolved.